The new format, you like the raw politics, so let's get right into it again this week. There was an issue that came up at the last council meeting of this council's term, and it was about establishing an anti-racism hotline and support center out there. It didn't go through the way that everyone expected it to, and here's the reaction from a very disappointed Brian McCaddy.
I can see where this is going as well in terms of the lack of support, but I can tell you that the Committee Against Racism is going to be very, very disappointed in the decision this evening. Following all the work they've done, following the back and forth with committee, I'm not sure what else to say. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion in the community about this decision tonight in the days and weeks ahead.
Lauren, your reaction to that?
Well, yes. So first of all, something that seems to have unanimous support and has been debated extensively and studied at the committee level generally passes at council. So this did take Councillor McCaddy a bit by surprise. But I think what really happened here is there was a strong anti-racism,
right?
A lobby effort in advance, and not because of anybody being in favor of racism, but a suggestion that there are arm's length city agencies that already exist that would be more than happy to receive this grant money and operate it within the infrastructure they already have, combating other anti-racism issues anyways. And another councillor weighed in with, why just racism? Why not a bullying hotline? Why not this? Why not that? And it all started to unravel pretty poorly on Councillor McCaddy that night.
Well, I have a slightly different take on this. Part of it is, yes, the lobbying effort even continued today, you could say, Lauren,
sure.
Even with us
Absolutely.
Talking about this tonight. So there's no doubt there was some of that maneuvering going on. There's a lot of politics that were being played around that table. It was the last council session right before an election. And I'll take a little bit of issue with you, Lauren, because this is not the first time that something's been worked on for years and years and years at great time and money, only to get through committee, everyone thinks it's fabulous, gets in front of council in an election year. I'm not talking about a particular highway sign or anything, gets in front of council, and suddenly, uh-oh, it's an election year. Everybody starts to play ridiculous politics. And some of the comments made were not only answered previously in committee, but some of them were absolutely ill-informed, which just looks bad on council and is incredibly frustrating for citizens. Plus, there is the angle, and more than an angle, the perception that you have a council with very little diversity on it making a decision about what people of diversity need in our city, in spite of the recommendation by their own diversity committee. Doesn't look good, and here's some of the responses that we saw here on the O Show. There's a tweet right there that says, I said I was going to rant about this because I'm frustrated. Awesome, Laura. I was really ticked too. I'm a certified hate crime support worker. There is no actual way of people finding help. So this is somebody who's outside, I'm presuming, of the particular committee saying, you know what, we needed this and why don't we have it? And there's another tweet here that we'll look at in a minute as well. Some more comments on this. The disconnect that a room full of white privilege is debating merit of the person of color experience.
Really?
Now,
so how does Laura Reid, a white woman, counsel people being a white woman? That doesn't make any sense. That
I'm not
ridiculous.
endorsing this individual saying white privilege. I think that goes too far. But I said that it's a council, if you look at, that doesn't reflect all of the diversity in our community. That is the state of politics in Canada. We all know that. There's not enough diversity in our political power structure. That being said, though, for a committee to work for years, put something forward, Lauren, and then to have it at the last minute go off the rails because, let's face it, there's an election in, what, 28 days?
But Laura, I think, what is it, $130,000, $140,000 to put your hand up in support of that doesn't sound like a whole lot of money in an election year, especially when you might be even currying favor with the ethnic vote. I don't think it's that at all.
Depending perhaps on what ward you represent, but if you watch the way that debate went down, they started talking, as you said, Terry Whitehead made the suggestion, why can't it be about bullying? Because it wasn't a bully hotline.
Right.
They've been working on it forever to be an anti-racism hotline, somewhere for people in this community to be able to call and say, this was just said to me, it's traumatic, can I get help and where? Now, would it be nice if it was rolled into an existing organization like HCCI? Sure, and that's a valid question to ask. But at the last minute, the 11th hour right before an election, I don't think so.
So how much does this have to do with showing somebody who is at the vanguard of bringing this motion forward that he doesn't have the support of his fellow councillors, of which the vast
Except
majority
for
will
the
be
fact
returning.
that Brad, if you want to make that argument, Brad Clark, also running for mayor like Brian, also supported it and
Well, of course
didn't
he
want
did.
it to go to deferral.
You're not going to
So-
run for mayor and vote against funding the anti-racism hotline.
Right. Did they know that it would go through? It seemed like Brian was genuinely surprised. Was Brad? I don't know. But I can tell you this, it sure looked like some politics to me at the expense of all those citizens who worked so hard on it. And there was even media stories saying it was going to pass.
So 2 councillors running for mayor who don't seem able to get the votes.
Do you know what? It's a shameful exhibition of the worst of what I've seen in the last 20 years in Hamilton politics. Last-minute soapboxing, sounding ill-informed, and not validating the hard work and recommendations of your own committees. Drives me crazy. All right, moving on to the next thing that we want to talk about here. The magic memo. Yes. Tell us about the magic memo, Lauren.
Well,